Well, it's been far too long, hasn't it? But we're back, and let me introduce you to the new man cave. So yes, I've been busy over the past couple of months. You see, it all started when we decided to put a new kitchen into the house. That involved quite a bit of DIY. Now, I was only doing the stripping out and the wrecking. We did pay the professionals to put it in properly. But after getting my hands dirty with that project, well, I thought I would continue with the DIY and do something about this place. So, new desk. Moved it down to this end of the cave. The TV used to be down here, used to be behind me. That has now moved to where the desk used to be, behind the camera. And I think what we'll do today is take a wee look around this place just to show you what I've done. Having the bigger desk though, well, it does give me this little space here. This was planned, believe it or not, and the whole idea with this bit is that I can use it to show you some new pickups or some donations, and that just so happens to be what's in here. So we'll start with a bit of a tour of the new man cave, and then we'll have a look at a couple of very generous donations, and if there's time I'll maybe show you a couple of recent pickups as well. And since we're down this end, let's start by taking a look at the new desk, which is quite a bit bigger than what we had previously. In fact, the old desk, well, its length was more or less just what we have here across this back wall. The new desk is slightly deeper as well, 2 inches deeper or 50 millimeters, going from 600 mil to 650 in total. This is the workstation. Currently running our VSDC video editor. That's what I use for making all these things. And then to the side here, we've got this little space for all the various soldering projects. I even picked up a little set of drawers there for all the components, and just having the extra desk space, well, that means I can leave all the soldering stuff out rather than having to take it in and out of its boxes every time I want to use it. The desk continues up the wall here, total of 2.3 meters, and that extra space means that I can have 2 dedicated workstations set up here at all times. For the retro PC on the left, that's the 486 DX266 that we built here on the channel previously. And then my main Amiga 1200 with its 030 accelerator sitting beside that lovely Amiga 1081 CRT. And just this little bit on the end, I can use that for the unboxing type videos. And we're going to take a look at what's in that box there. And no, it's nothing to do with Apple. On these bookshelves then lives my rather modest games collection, along with the portable systems, and you'll probably spot a couple of books there from some of the retro tech YouTubers. Not the most extensive games library, but there is a little bit of everything in there. Some Sega, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, PC stuff. That's all the Amiga big box stuff there. Obviously Half-Life 2 is not Amiga. That's my rather rusted collector's edition tin. And then on the bottom shelf, just a few DVDs. So this is where the desk used to be, where the TV is now. You'll probably recognize those stickers on the wall there from where the desk used to be. Still just the same TV unit that I had down the other end, with all the various consoles in it, and everything is hooked up, ready to go. I do need to get some more RGB cables though. There's too many of those systems currently hooked up over composite. This storage unit then with the bins that has all the controllers and power supplies in it, also holding some more consoles that are also hooked up to the TV. And then on this wall opposite, I found space to put up a few extra shelves so I can show off some of the full boxes. I've got the Amiga 500, the VIC-20, the Tandy electronic TV scoreboard, the Video Pack G7000, that wireless joystick, remember that thing? The Vectrex, which you've never seen on the channel, which currently isn't in here, it lives in the house. And that rather beat up looking box on the end there, that's the video computer VC6000, something that I want to take a closer look at in a future video. Below that then, I'm still holding on to my Happy Hardcore collection and the Technics there, the 1200s. That's the Amiga 2-player arcade stick with trackball that we built here on the channel previously. And then just a couple of storage units. I do want to get some cushions made for those, as those will be used for seating when you're playing games on the TV. My Darren Clarke signed shirt, I need to find somewhere to put that. And then just around the walls, as there was previously, it's just the little display of all the various Wedge type computers, a few consoles in there as well. For anyone interested, those are picture display mounts from IKEA. I'll stick a link to them sure in the video's description, because I know last time I showed them a couple of people were interested. I do want to get just another one of those wee storage units to sit here. Currently that Zenith Data Systems 286 and the Mac Classic, they're just sitting on the floor, but I want to get a little storage unit to hold them better. But that'll come at some point in the future. And that's pretty much it. So that's the new man cave. Hopefully you'll agree with me that the layout now works an awful lot better. The desk is easily twice the size of what I had before. In fact, it's probably about 2.5 times the size of what I had before. So it gives me a lot more space to work, which is exactly what I needed in here. Yes, with the TV where it is now, you do sit a wee bit closer to it than you would have before. But sure, when we were all kids, we sat about that far away from the old CRT TV screen, and no, that never did us any harm then. Sitting closer to the LCD, well, I'm sure it'll be fine. But this box, I said we're going to take a look at what's in it. We're going to use this dedicated little square of the desk that I've created for doing so. Yes, I am rather sad, aren't I? But before we do that, I do want to take a look at what's in this jiffy bag, or what's left of this jiffy bag. Because this one, well, this arrived before this did. Albeit both of them are to do with the same machine. So what secrets does the jiffy bag hold? Well, first of all, we have a 5 volt, 3 amp power supply. That'll be very handy. We have a USB serial adapter. And an Amstrad CPC serial port. This connects to the floppy expansion port on the back of the CPC and gives us a serial interface, which with the use of this cable we can connect it to the computer and get the two talking to each other. So let's pull down the CPC, move over to the bench behind me and see how this works. Now, last time that you've seen this machine, you'll recall that I had the monitor with it. The matching colour monitor. Very nice thing to have, but unfortunately it's faulty. Since then I have had a go at trying to fix it, but I just cannot get it to go. So for now, to power this machine, we're going to use the power supply that was very kindly donated there. And for video, we're going to use one of these RGB cables. So let's get it all hooked up. Now, this thing, well, it connects here onto the floppy port. But we need to connect it up using this. And if we just take a look at the user guide, page 4, it shows us the various methods of connecting up our little serial adapter. We're going to use the cable. And for the direct cable connection, we only want to hook up green, white and black. We do not want to hook up red 5V. Now it seems that there are various things that we can do with our little serial adapter. It comes with a really handy Windows PC communication utility that we'll take a look at in a minute. It has a terminal function, file copy to CPC function, so you can copy a file and write it onto a disk on CPC. Personally, I think that would be the most useful function of this thing. You can do it the other way around. You can copy a file from the CPC, from a disk, onto the PC. You can copy an image, and you can do a direct load. Now, since we don't have a disk drive, I think what we'll do is try this direct load. This function only works in the serial Bluetooth mode, so we're connected over serial cable. By selecting the direct load function, you will be able to load or run a program, either basic or binary, and also many games directly from the PC. We need to run this little bit of basic code and then set up the communication utility. So let's power up the CPC, type our bit of code and see if this works. So let's bring up our program. We're going to put it into the direct load function. COM3, that's correct for our device here. Speed is set correctly. Let's run our basic program. And now what? So run the program. After a couple of seconds, you will get the ready prompt. That's correct. From now on, any load or run command you will give, it will be redirected to PC. Using direct load directory, you can set the loading directory and have a list of all available files in it. So there is the utility disk. I'm not convinced this is working, you know, but it said all we had to do was load. We'll say one of these bin files just to see what it does. So CPC to PC.bin. And is this going to read it from the PC then? Press play. That makes you think it's trying to read from this. Let me have a bit of a play with this and see if I can get it to do anything different. Because at the minute, it doesn't seem to be working. Right, so a bit more digging. It seems as if this is the driver that it installed here. But it seems as if this is not supported. It actually says here, phased out since 2012, please contact your supplier. But if we download the driver here of this website, this is an older driver, which I have installed here. We can then update this to this version, or we'll roll back to this version, which is from 2008. And now it would certainly seem to be working. So let's try our little program again. Well, that's a bit of a shame that I cannot get this working. I dare say there's nothing wrong with this. It's probably the idiot trying to use it is not doing so correctly. So if anyone has one of these and could maybe point out where I'm going wrong, please let me know in the comments, because I would like to try and get this working. And I forgot earlier to say it was Dave from Discord, Dave Velociraptor, off of RMC's Discord server. He very kindly sent me this, so thank you very much, Dave. It is greatly appreciated. The power supply, especially since it gets the CPC up and running. But speaking of CPC stuff, the box. A letter. Dear Glenn, that's me. I hope you have fun with these As I said in my email, I'd far rather donate old equipment to people who I know will appreciate it rather than sell on eBay for stupid amounts of money. And knowing what's in here, well, this stuff comes from Stephen Usher. Thank you very much indeed. He definitely could have sold it for stupid amounts of money, so I am incredibly grateful to receive it. He did send me this back in January, by the way, so I can only apologise that I'm only getting to it now. Equally, the stuff that Dave sent, it came in January as well. Just with everything else I've had going on, I just have not had chance to get to it. So I'll not read any more of that just yet. I think rather we'll dig through the box and see what we find. One Amstrad book for the DDI-1 floppy disk drive. That might give you a clue. Some Amstrad 3-inch discs. That's probably another clue. I'm sure you know exactly where this is going. One copy of Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. I loved that cartoon. It's awesome. We have the interface for the back of the CPC. And we have the disk drive. Just how awesome is this? Honestly, this is the type of thing that I thought I would never, ever own. So thank you very, very much, Stephen. It is incredibly generous of you sending this my way. I am incredibly grateful to receive it. But there's more. Believe it or not, there is more. And we have a CPC RAM upgrade as well. In the form of these bits and pieces. So just going back to the letter quickly. The DDI-1 interface, which is this thing. So that has been modified by adding a resistor on the back of the board between the computer's +5 volt output to the power rail of the interface. As shipped, Amstrad relied on power from the disk drive, this thing, to power this. This meant that if the drive wasn't turned on, then the system wouldn't see the ROM and it would be in its original tape mode. This makes some sort of sense, except there are no instances that I'm aware of where software broke if the ROM was enabled. However, it did stop the use of external third-party floppy drives being fitted easily. The disk drive then, it has been fully serviced with new belt and lubricated and works well, thank you very much. The only modification to it is that he has disconnected the wires which feed 5 volt from the floppy drive down towards this, as it's no longer needed due to the mod done to that itself. The memory upgrade is pre-configured for the CPC 464 to give full CPC 6128 memory compatibility and full shadowing. It seems to work really well. He's created a utility disk and refurbished 3 others, which should hopefully keep going. Included the game, so that I at least have something to play. And he just finishes by saying, I hope you have fun and I look forward to seeing your next step in your Amstrad Odyssey on YouTube. Well, thank you again very much, Stephen. It is incredibly generous of you. A bit later to it than I would have hoped, but we're here now on YouTube, so let's continue our Odyssey into the Amstrad with all this stuff. Let's take it over to the bench and hopefully this works. So I can't get that to work. None of the commands work, which makes me think that the ROM that's in here is not being loaded, which makes me think that there's something wrong with our CPC. It'll load games from its tape, okay, but everything connected here doesn't seem to work. Let's just take it apart really quickly. Just want to check a few things. Right, board out of the machine, and after a quick conversation with Mr. Lurch and Noel from Noel's Retro Lab, yes, check out me name dropping the YouTube celebrities, they reckon that all this needs is a clean. Now, I did say that I did clean it earlier, you seen me doing it with the IPA, but they both reckon that it needs a better clean than that. And you can still see, actually, especially here, there is quite a bit of dirt on that yet. So what I'm going to do is use the eraser, and let's see if we can rub out this dirt. This is just abrasive enough to polish up these contacts. Looking better already. The bottom side's not too bad, but we'll go over it anyway. Just before connecting this, to test it, what I want to do is try and clean that edge connector as well. So, little cap full of IPA, bit of paper folded up a few times, just dip that in there. And then just stick that in between those pins. And that should clean them a bit anyway. I'm going to give that another fold actually, because that feels quite loose in there. That's better. Yeah, there's a wee bit of dirt coming out of it. Certainly can't do any harm to try that anyway. But let's give it a go and see if it's going to work. Okay, so disk drive on first, then CPC on. Let's stick a disk in. And if we run that command, that should do something. Should try and access the disk. I think it's working. How do you list the contents of the disk though? No. I think I need to read the book. What's the CP/M disk that I put in? Oh, away she goes. Check it out. We are now running Amstrad CP/M 2.2. Of course, I have absolutely no idea what I can do with CP/M version 2.2, but there we are. Well, there we are. All it needed was a bit of a clean, and it's working perfectly. But we do need to make it do something, so why don't we try our game, Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. That's right, in the UK here, it was Hero Turtles, because ninjas are too scary for us. So disk drive on, Amstrad on. So we'll stick our disk in, and according to the manual, all we have to do is type run disk, and that should start it loading. And away it goes. So the shredder wants us to enter a code from our manual. Despite this being on disk and these things, I would say at the time of this game's release, 1990, being quite rare, we still have the copy protection. 3 across, 3 down. 1, 2, 3, 7. So I have a feeling this is the same Turtles game that was on many of the consoles at the time. Not the arcade game now, it was the same one that you might have seen on the likes of the Amiga. Into the sewer, and like any waste management system, it's full of eyeballs and guys running about on fire. Bees as well. Definitely not the best game I have ever played. Never really liked this Turtles game, to be honest. Can I kill that guy? Seemingly not. Right, anyway, that's enough of that. But we've proved that our disk drive now works. It was just a dirty port. So, you know what that's making me think? What about that serial interface? Should we hook that up again quickly and see if we can load something from the PC directly into the Amstrad? Okay, serial adapter is reconnected to the CPC. Everything's hooked up, ready to go. So let's type our little bit of code again. We'll change this over to the direct load function again. And let's see if anything different happens. Yes, something different has happened. Down here it now says direct load routine transferred. So, seems like it's working. Can we load something? What we're trying to load? I don't know, terminal? .bas. Yes. Accessing file terminal. And there it is there on the CPC. We're connected over serial. If I change this back to terminal function, is that going to work? Not sure, but the software seems to be running anyway. Don't really know what we can do within the terminal, but at least this is working. So if I could only figure out a way to have that connected to the CPC along with the disk drive, I would need some means of connecting 2 of these. So some sort of expansion for that edge connector down there. Give me multiple, connectors on it. But if I could get both of those connected at the same time, then I could use this cable and this thing to transfer disk images from the PC across onto real Amstrad disks. And I can't help but wonder, would that allow me to write one of those 3-inch disks for that Amstrad word processor that I have? That would definitely be worth looking into. But it works. That stupid dirty port, that's all it was. That was the problem. So I've hooked up the memory expansion here. It's just sitting in line between the Amstrad and the DDI. But to test that, well, I thought what we'd try and do is use the Amstrad diagnostic tool that Noel created from Noel's Retro Lab. It's on this, in this Gotek here. You may be able to see it there on the screen. But if I try and access it, drive A disk missing, retry, ignore or cancel, I just cannot get it to work. Stephen, the guy that sent me the DDI, suggested that you could just hook this up straight away. and to pay attention to where pin 1 is, and that is connected up correct there. But I just can't get it to go. Unless, of course, I do have that upside down. Let's just eliminate that possibility. Let's just try it that way around. Maybe the labelling on it is to suit the Amstrad disk drive rather than the Gotek. So we'll turn that on first. Ribbon cable may be upside down. The Amstrad won't even turn on. No signal. So disconnect that. Yeah, and it comes up again. So no, I did have that in the right way. I just can't get it to work. Now this Gotek has the flash floppy firmware on it. Maybe I need to modify that or change that so that it's compatible with the Amstrad. So I think we'll just leave that for another day, setting up the Gotek on the DDI. I'm going to have to do a little bit of homework into how to do that, or perhaps if anyone watching knows how to do it, you would let me know in the comments below. Now this video is getting long enough, but I did say I would show you a couple of recent pickups, and sitting in front of me here is some arcade stuff. Yes, I've decided this year I'm going to delve into the incredibly expensive world of arcade hardware. All started when I decided to buy myself one of these, Neo Geo MVS. That in itself, now that came from AliExpress and it was only about £30–40. The games, as I'm sure you know, are hideously expensive, so I opted for one of these multi-carts instead. 161 in one. So far, the vast majority of the games on this that I've tested do work, although nearly all the fighting games on it, well, they must be set into the super difficult mode because I really struggle to get anywhere in them. Went for this Super Gun. This one uses the Sega Saturn pads, only because I have two of those. I don't have any Neo Geo pads, which themselves command quite a bit of money. So everything you see here all in, all working, this run me about £140, which is not too bad to get into the world of Neo Geo. But you know me, that sent me down a complete rabbit hole of arcade stuff, so what else could we find? Well, this other machine here. This was the competitor to this, released after it. This is the IGS PGM. Unfortunately, there is a slight fault with the machine, which we're going to have a look at in a future video. I think there's something wrong with the audio, it's maybe missing one of the channels, and some of the inputs don't work. But that gives us something to try and fix. The game itself, I had to get that separately, again from AliExpress. Took about 3 months to get here. I actually completely forgot about it, and then it just arrived one day. The games for this can be very expensive, but this one in particular, it was only about £30. It's one of the cheaper ones that you can get. And then this arcade board, because, you know, if we're going to be buying arcade stuff, we're going to at least have to have one board to play with. Granted, I maybe jumped in a little bit quickly with this, especially when I seen it was labelled as Sunset Riders. This is actually a Sunset Riders bootleg, and I think this is just the Mega Drive version, which unfortunately is probably the worst version of the game. Now, of course, you know me, I couldn't buy anything just simply. This has a fault with it. There's a bit of damage on this chip here, and we'll take a look at it in a future video to see if we can fix it. Looking at the layout of the board though, it is pretty obviously a Mega Drive, isn't it? It's got the 68K main processor here, the Zilog Z80, that will be doing the sound. These are probably the custom chips. And then obviously your ROMs for the game. And if this is just a Mega Drive, would it be possible to change the ROMs? Maybe put a better Mega Drive game on here rather than Sunset Riders, which, you know, it's still a good game, it's just nowhere near as good as the SNES version or the arcade original. But that's it for now, so thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed what you've seen, and if you did, I would appreciate a big thumbs up. Why not hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Still plenty more yet to come here on CRG. We'll definitely be back next week, not in another 3 months or however long it's been, but sure, sometimes life just gets in the way of these hobbies. So thanks for watching and see you next time.